Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
You're just in time for the B-Team edition of New Life Live. Hang on, let me explain. It's Benton, Burns, and Brian in the studio for the next 2 hours. I'm talking clinical psychologist Dr. Alice Benton and Dr. Jim Burns, the founder of Homeward. I'm Brian Perez. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call. If trauma, doubt, fear, or something else is holding you back, know this: it doesn't have to stay that way. Call us for the next 2 hours at 1-800-229-3000. We've got free advice here. And Dr. Alice, what's on your mind to start us off?
A common reason why some marriages experience decay. A man told me not too long ago, "Would you remind my wife of her biblical obligation for physical intimacy with me?" I let him know, if I do what you're asking me to, I will cause more problems in your marriage.
Right.
Now, this is a really painful state of many marriages. We tend to hear more about the cost, the price that men pay in a marriage with little to no sexual intimacy, but it costs women as well. So I want to talk about some of the reasons why this happens and what to do about it. And I want to warn men against pushing for that biblical edge. This is why you must engage with me. It just doesn't work. It causes more problems. Often, I'm speaking to the men here in particular, but this can be true for women as well. There's a lack of emotional safety. And men, if you grew up in a home with a lot of intensity and even verbal mistreatment and heavy anger, you may not be aware that even though you're at a lower level than you experience perhaps from your own father, your wife might still feel emotionally unsafe with you. So I want you to evaluate whether or not she ever says you're too intense, edgy, critical, you verbally mistreat, or you give her the cold shoulder. All of these things decrease trust and emotional safety in a marriage, and it makes your partner less likely to want to be intimate with you. The second one is lack of sexual integrity. And this can be for either partner, but we see it the struggle with men more often. And there are two subtle layers to this that men, you might dismiss, not think it's a big deal. Do you ogle other women when you're with your wife, but also when you're not with her? And are you overly friendly to other women? Because those two things might seem surface level, but they erode trust. For the women's side of things, this could be true for the men as well, but it's more often for women. Are you overly involved with your kids to the neglect of your husband? Do you have any untreated sexual trauma that makes you hesitant to engage with your spouse? Or do you have a medical issue that makes physical intimacy painful or even impossible? Those can be treated. Have either of you ever punished your spouse by withholding in this area? Is there just a general neglect? And ladies, we have to consider this because we may have a lower libido, and so it's not as important to us whether or not there's frequent engagement, but it's highly important to most men. And is there a lack of awareness of the importance of this, of how life-giving it is if you do have any of these obstacles to look into them, get treatment for them, and overcome them so you can have a full marriage? If you have this problem, avoid telling your spouse you should be engaging with me in intimacy. Avoid saying the Bible says you should. But do ask, what do I do that makes you feel unsafe or makes you want to withdraw from me? That is the first step in rebuilding safety.
Jim, any thoughts?
That was one of the most incredible statements about marriage and intimacy that I've ever heard. I mean that with, and I do marriage conferences every month.
Yeah.
And I think you just nailed it for so many people. The libido is different, and we have to be in touch with that. But I think safety is a key issue. And even at Homeward, when people ask us, they talk about safety even when they don't know they're talking about safety.
Yes.
Yeah.
If this resonates with you, give us a call.
Here at New Life, we want you to have transformation. And so we have created the New Life courses, and you meet weekly on Zoom with a coach or counselor. You're going to have teaching as well as that group connection, because we know how powerful that is. We hear that all the time about our intensives, that they love the information, but the group process is so powerful. And many of you have been hesitant to participate because you're not sure, the timing, the price. The New Life courses are going to meet you right at that area of need. Every week you're meeting on Zoom with that therapist. You're going over the concepts as well as connecting as a group. It is so powerful, and it's accessible. Wherever you are, you're going to be able to join us.
Begin your transformation January 29th with a New Life course. Lose it for life, take your life back, or healing is a choice. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
If you missed New Life Live yesterday, you missed some great advice from Dr. Henry Cloud. Now, it's easy to catch up on shows you missed. They're archived on our YouTube channel, on the newlife.com website, on our app, and available through your podcast provider. And I trust you'll tune in on Friday as Dr. Cloud joins us again. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call us today here at New Life Live, in the studio for 2 hours with Drs. Alice Benton and Jim Burns. And Alice started today's show with a great talk on marriage and physical intimacy in marriage. Jim, any more thoughts on that?
Absolutely. In fact, I think what I love about her talking about this is it's a major issue. I look out at the audiences that I speak at on marriage, and I've just figured that about 50% aren't doing as well as they would like. 25% are like, they don't need my talk on this. And another 25% are going, thank you. So I think it's key. It's critical for so many marriages. And, intimacy means connection. Physical intimacy means connection. And it's possible to be in a physical relationship and not be connected, obviously. But, the point is we have to be willing to talk to somebody about it. People are people like Alice. I mean, you can talk to therapists, and they've heard it all, and they can help. Big time. What I like to say a lot of times is that that men, sometimes expect more, like you were talking, Alice, and I say to men, you need to touch, use the gift of touch. Touch the vacuum, touch the dishes, touch the bath with the kids, whatever it is, because a woman, I feel a lot of times, they need to have their world at least in semi-order before they can really focus on that. And you were talking about child-focused marriage sometimes, and that's really the case with those. So I think men can take the lead without being, no preachy, not lectury, but honestly, caring and loving and getting them. I think a woman will respond to that in a great way. Mm-hmm. And women, I think they need to initiate sometimes too. And they sometimes think that's dirty or rotten. It's not. It's biblical. And so I think the woman might say, if in the morning that she says, you know what? How about tonight after we put the kids to bed, we get some cuddle time together. He's going to be thinking about that all day. Okay, a woman might not, but the man is. And so I think we have things we can do to enhance, just practical things that we can do. When she was talking, she was also talking about the safety aspect of it, and I think that's so critical. But a lot of people just don't have the physical intimacy they want because they're exhausted. Somebody once said, if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. Well, what we realize now is that in busyness, we don't have time for the beautiful intimacy. And it's a good experience for most of the people if they'll, put their minds and hearts to it.
Yeah.
And as much as we're steeped in sexual content all around us, we're still incredibly bashful about how to talk about it with our spouse.
Right, we are. And you brought up things like pornography or some of the negative things. And so if that's happening, then they're not willing to talk about even a healthy intimacy because they have so much shame or they're struggling with so many issues. So that's where people need to get help. If you become healthy with what I like to call a theology of healthy sexuality, study of God and theology, it's not some preachy weird stuff that you were talking about. But if you have a healthy view of God created sex, he sees it as good in the context of marriage, then honestly, you can have a great physical intimacy and you can have it for years and years and years. The problem is that sometimes our parents never talked to us about it, so we don't have a good theology of healthy sexuality, and then we're not talking to our kids about it. We're not experiencing the beauty of God's creation and even God's pleasure. I mean, God created pleasure, and it's a very pleasurable act if we do that in the right context. So, go to work, get some help.
When we've been hurt chronically for too long, we tend to express the hurt through accusation.
Yeah.
You don't do this for me. You don't love me how you should. Whereas if we approach it with vulnerability, I'm sad, I miss you, I'm lonely, I'm worried for our marriage, could we please talk about this? Then our spouse will be much more likely to be receptive to that tone.
Yeah, you're exactly right. On a personal level, with Kathy and I, we've been married 51 years, so nothing is pretty much hidden. But over the years, we've had those kinds of conversations. Both she has and I have at different times in terms of, here's how I'm feeling, here's what my need is, here's why I'm hurt or whatever. And you know what? It always is a good conversation. I don't want to have that conversation. I'm afraid she's going to get defensive or I'm going to get defensive. But once we have the conversation, if done well, it really does improve the intimacy or the connection, physical and emotional. And we also have to remember that emotional connection typically precedes good physical intimacy. And that's a hard one. And a lot of guys, they're not in touch with their emotions, so they don't even know what we're talking about right now. But it's important.
What do you say to the guy who says, I don't have time to touch the vacuum or to touch the dirty dishes?
Yeah.
I've been at work all day. I spent another 2 hours on the freeway. I just want to get home, get my dinner, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I say get it together here because, again, where's your priorities? Here on the air, and I still feel a little bit guilty, Brian, not too much, you were here. I called a guy a wimp. He was in Dallas. I still remember this conversation. Every therapist would hate me, Alice, because I just said, I think you're being a wimp when it comes to things. Well, I think guys, they wimp out on that. Why would you both have probably worked hard, both have in different ways? They get home. The old school way was, the women would do, 89% of the thing. Now it's like still in the majority of work at home, but I think we need to help. When we do that, that's when we can expect better physical intimacy. Yeah.
And if the working spouse outside the home thinks my first job is earning the paycheck, the priority's wrong. The first job is learning to love your family well. The secondary job is earning the paycheck.
Yeah, right, and that's true. And we are tired sometimes. I mean, honestly, there are just times when we are exhausted from work or whatever it might be. But in today's world, so many men and women, of course, most of our listeners are working. Both are working. And so why is one job more stressful than the other? Maybe not, even if one makes a higher living. So coming back home, we got to make sure that the environment, the tone, the atmosphere, those are all things that are important to intimacy, both emotional and physical. Yeah.
Looks like we've got a phone call that's kind of on topic. It's from Katie in Washington, D.C., listening on WAVA. Welcome to New Life Live, Katie, and thank you for calling 1-800-229-3000.
Thank you. My pleasure. I'm so glad I got a hold of you. This really is a God moment for sure.
Yep. Sounds like it.
My question, how do I like being with my husband again? It's gotten to a point where I don't want to be around him. I don't want him to touch me. He's not a bad man. He's an excellent provider, very responsible. But lately, it just, I think the lack of humility, like true humility of just saying, I'm really sorry to me or the kids, it's just been building up over 20 plus years. I do not want to be around him. I do not want him to touch me. And it all came to a head just a couple days ago. And he became very angry, and he was yelling, and you know what the problem is. And it was loud, and it was, that's the last thing I want to hear or experience if you want intimacy from me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's what he was referring to when he said that. You know what the problem is. It was lack of intimacy.
Right. And that's the main problem in our marriage. I mean, everything else is really quite functional. But I've never been big on that part of, that's just kind of, unfortunately, who I've always been. A lot of childhood trauma, but I've worked through that for many, many years. And, Christian counseling, you name it, prayer and everything. But it ain't there. I want to enjoy being around my husband, and I don't. I don't want to be near him.
And are you saying that you haven't had any sexual drive or interest yourself? It's not appealing to you to engage on that level, and it never has been. But his anger makes it that much more difficult.
Exactly. Exactly. For whatever reason, it just and it's a real strain on our marriage.
He must be a tough man to try to engage in these kinds of conversations because he turns to anger pretty quickly and accusation. Would you describe how you've tried to point out that his intensity is such an obstacle for you?
Yes. In this most recent, yes.
How did you try to point that out to him?
I said, when it is brought up in such intensity like it is right now, how do you expect me to be engaging with you? Mm-hmm. But it always comes to this. And I said, but it always comes to this too. Don't be so quiet all the time and then just explode. Try to, I don't see a lot of effort in a humble, gentle way on that side either. So there's not a, I'm getting that. Well, I do this for you and I do that for you, but it doesn't seem sincere. There's just no real gentle sincereness. And
has your husband ever been willing to engage in any structured help?
We have in the past, and I can't say that it really seemed to help that much. I even brought that up in our recent conversation. Like, can we just please find a counselor? And we've done it in the past, but it's hard to get the humility to say, wow, I really do get explosive. Wow, I really have put a lot of pressure on you. That is not there. And that's really hard for me to deal with.
Jim, any thoughts?
Katie, I want to take you all the way back to when you were courting before you got married, and then when you got married at the beginning. What did you do back then? Was your physical intimacy all right? Right, way back then, without all the.
We actually saved it for marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. How was it? How was it for you? How was it for him?
It was very uncomfortable for me because at that point I had made that choice in my life to stop dating, to just take time for me getting right with God, and that was almost 10 years. So it was awkward. It was uncomfortable, because I had, prior to that, I'd had a very sinful lifestyle and many relationships.
A couple of things. You might have brought. I'm saying he definitely can't be as defensive as he is, and he needs to look at this as a we. When you look at conflict, if you go toward defensiveness, it never works. I'm right and you're wrong, and but say whatever, and he's doing that. If somehow we can move this to a we, where it says, what am I responsible for? What are you responsible for? We want to get to if he has a goal of wanting to get to more intimacy, then it's a we. What can we do? What's my part? What's your part? Whatever. But I was thinking about there's a possibility that you could have brought some baggage into this because of your sexual trauma, because of maybe your lifestyle. And what I'm wondering is, do we start back at dating, is he willing to go on dates with you? Is he willing to go out to dinner? Is he willing to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm wondering is, we find that a lot of times connection doesn't happen by saying you are not available for me or I'm angry at you. Connection comes when we, funny enough, have fun together. And so it's the dates, it's the romance, and I just wonder if you couldn't rekindle the romance by going back and saying, let's in golf, I think we say let's have a do-over and actually start dating and having some fun, because fun brings togetherness. And it's not, and again, there's deeper stuff to deal with, obviously, but that may be a good start for you to, you take the lead and without, give it your best shot at trying to be fun and maybe even romantic there, be a little bit flirty. I think you'll see some different results on his part too. I'm not saying it's just you. I started with you because of the early years of you, but I think you both got some work to do. That's why we need probably counseling.
Yeah, Katie, stay on the phone. We're going to continue our conversation with you. Susan, you're coming up as well. And everyone else, call in 1-800-229-3000.
I went to Every Man's Battle in 2012. My sexual integrity was not what it should have been. I sought out affairs, whether physical or emotional. Until I came to Every Man's Battle, I didn't understand that would never fill that void.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity. Impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
The shame and guilt was overwhelming.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
You will discover what the true root of your pain is, and you will discover how to overcome.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Orange County, California, January 23rd through the 25th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Enter the code NLL for a discount.
Every Man's Battle saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back on New Life Live. Thanks for joining us. We're speaking with Katie in Washington, D.C. You still with us, Katie?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I am.
Great.
Katie, I want to praise you that you've continued to do your own work and that it sounds like you've turned your life around. And so
100%.
To have so aligned with God's will and yet to struggle in this pain in your marriage, my heart is heavy for you because I could imagine how frightening those explosions are. So here's what I want to recommend.
They are because, I have a good marriage and this part is heartbreaking.
I hear it in your voice how much it means to you that this happens. So I want to make a couple of additional recommendations to what Jim said. You might tell him, again, if you already have, I know my sexual history has left me resistant to intimacy, and that's been really hard on you, and I am willing to keep working on it. And Katie, if you're not still in individual therapy, please get back into it. If you haven't done EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, that's such a helpful treatment to get to some of the subconscious layers of what that lifestyle, what mark it left on your heart and on your body. But I would also have you tell him in a separate conversation, in order for us to rebuild intimacy, it'll help if you, husband, will work on your intensity. May I have permission to point it out when things get heated? And if we can't bring that temperature back down at the time, I think it will be best if we walk away from each other. I will walk away if we can't ratchet down the intensity. How do you think he'd respond to that?
It's a hard one. It could be defensive, which is the majority of what I get. And it's hard to say. My mind goes to he's going to get defensive. It's hard to say.
It's such a common reaction. So when defensiveness rises up, I suggest saying, well, would you just think and pray about it and then back away from the conversation? Then you're leaving the responsibility on him and God, because you can't do a whole lot about his defensiveness. Leave it be. Don't try to argue your way through it. And then, Katie, a sex clinic, whether this is an intensive or just getting with a sexual therapist who's trained in this might help. And your husband might be more motivated if he knows that that's going to be the focus. But a well-trained therapist would go after the anger and the history, not just the sexual aspect of it. And our Intimacy in Marriage intensive really helps couples learn how to talk about this in a calm, productive way.
I noticed you said in a separate conversation that she should, so not all at once.
Separating them out helps people to tolerate them more. So if we go after, this is my part, but you and your anger, he's going to be less likely to hear it. So if you start with one day, this is my part, I'm going to work on it. And another day, it will help me get closer to you if you'll also be willing to work on your intensity. More likely to succeed.
You're so right. And we have to not have it in the heat of the battle. So when he's doing you, and what both of you probably need to do is say, here's my part of the deal. But don't do it in the heat of the battle. As soon as it escalates, you'll actually train him. Sounds terrible that we're training our husbands, but I think my wife has done a good job of doing that with me. But you'll train him that intimacy and connection doesn't happen. Emotional connection doesn't happen when things are escalated. So he's criticizing you to correct behavior. That doesn't work. And so what you want to do is try to find those moments. Hey, can we have a conversation? And if his favorite beverage is whatever, put it in front of him and sit there and just say, hey, I'd like to have a 15-minute conversation without criticizing him. I know a couple that does this every day. They have a 15-minute beverage to beverage. In the morning they have their coffees, and they kind of connect with each other. And sometimes it gets a little heated, but what it does is it's now a time where they go, this is not the time to heat up. Well, sometimes they don't even have arguments now because they do that. They do it every day. That's amazing. But it's a marriage. And so, why not put that kind of energy into it? But I would suggest strongly that it's not in the heat of the battle. That you, as she said, as Alice said, you want to make sure that you have maybe even separate conversations. We talk about sexuality when you're talking to kids about sex. We say 100 1-minute conversations. That's a lot more effective than one. And we do this with couples too. Without just have a short conversation, but don't try even yourself not to criticize to correct the behavior, but rather to, if you can, here's my story, and here's how I feel. And he's probably not a very good understanding person who understands his feelings. I know therapists who will sometimes say, here are 15 feelings, and the woman will go, I feel this. The guy goes, this is a foreign language to me. Mm-hmm. That may be your husband, Katie. So we're going to have to train him a little bit, but do it. If you don't escalate, and if you have some fun with it, you may be surprised that you can rekindle the relationship. I see this with the empty nest work that we do all the time, that people who are in the empty nest, they can rekindle, but they put a lot of years into doing it not very healthy, and they buried stuff under the mat. So some of that has to come out. But anyway, I think Alice gave you some great input.
Yeah. There's a resource in the newlife.com store called Created for Connection that you might want to pick up. And we've also got the Intimacy and Marriage Intensive. That's happening Valentine's Day weekend in Orange County, California. Still time to sign up for the early bird discount. You can get the details at newlife.com.
And we have the kind of clinicians I recommended in our counselor network, so we can connect you with them.
No, that's true. And Katie, I know what DC's weather is going to be like next week and around Valentine's Day. Come out to California and get some sunshine. I'm going your way, and I was just telling them I'm not excited about weather. I love your area.
Definitely not 17 degrees here in SoCal.
Exactly.
We've been married 33 years. We attended the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. Even though we've read books or attended a few other marriage weekends, this was certainly different and a lot more intensive than initially that we thought.
When you come to Intimacy and Marriage, you're going to be immersed into a 3-day process.
Was not really sure exactly what to expect, but the idea of learning to really understand intimacy was intriguing. We had been in the same patterns of struggle over and over again.
If you've thought, I don't think we can ever change, we're just in this rut and we can't get out, the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop can help you get out of the rut.
The Intimacy and Marriage Weekend is February 13th to the 15th in Orange County, California. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the code NLL for a discount. 1-800-639-5433.
I would highly recommend it.
There's a place where real healing begins, where truth meets grace, and where transformation starts. New Life Recovery Groups offers a Christ-centered, supportive community for growth, healing, and restoration. Built on a proven 12-step foundation and grounded in biblical truth, these groups help bring clarity, accountability, and lasting hope for those who are ready for change. And when deeper personal guidance is needed, one-on-one coaching and counseling are available, walking with you every step of the way. Here, lives are renewed, stories are rewritten, and hope is restored. You're not alone. You're not judged. You're welcomed into a community that believes God is still at work in your story. Take the next step toward healing. Join a New Life Recovery Group today, online or in person. Visit newlife.com/groups or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Find healing, find community, find new life. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
If you're feeling stuck in addiction, grief, anxiety, or broken relationships, you're not alone. Connecting with a life recovery group allows you to discover practical tools and biblical truth from the 12 steps of life recovery designed to help you heal, grow, and thrive. Recovery isn't just about what you're giving up. It's about who you're becoming and knowing that your past does not have to define you. Visit newlife.com to learn more about our Christian recovery groups. And if you've got a question for Dr. Alice Benton or Dr. Jim Burns, give us a call in the studio. We're going to be here for the next half hour and the next hour at 1-800-229-3000. Here is Susan in St. Louis, Missouri, listening on newlife.com. Welcome, Susan, to the program.
Hello.
Hi.
In short, I was married 20 years to a man. We had not had intimacy before marriage, and I think it was the day after we got married when I approached him. He said, "You make me feel like I have to perform." Then after 20 years of marriage, and we did have 5 children, but he did not initiate, and I felt like I could change things. After 20 years of marriage, he said, very quietly, sitting in the dark, he said, "I never really wanted you that way." And in the meantime, I did develop a root of bitterness. In the last few years of our marriage, there was a lot of fighting, and it became, I felt dangerous, so we divorced. We divorced around 2000, and My question is, number one, why would someone ask, or maybe I asked him, I think I pursued him, why would someone get married to someone they have no attraction that way for? And number two, why could I not convince him to love me after, and it was so many attempts to, so that's what I would like to ask.
I have a question, Susan. What was he like before or even early on? Did he have previous relationships? Was he into pornography? Is there anything like that? That's one of the simplest, things to check off or to talk about.
About the middle of our he told me originally that he would take care of it. It wasn't my problem. It was his. He did early on when I asked him to go to counseling and then at 10 years marriage, which was halfway through, he did admit pornography, which crushed me because I already wondered, what was wrong with me. So he did admit it at about 10 years.
See, I don't think it's what's wrong with you. I think it was what was wrong with him. Because when a person, your husband, when he's involved in something like a porn addiction or any kind of sex addiction, it rapidly does not. It's not about a lot of times in your kind of situation, the wife will say, well, if I was more flirty, or if I'd wear different types of clothes, or I'd do this or that. I don't think so. I think he had a problem that he had not dealt with, and so you can't look at you as being the problem, as possibly him being the problem. And, we see this every day.
I would agree with that. There were complicated things going on inside of your husband. And so a couple of guesses that came to me were, one, that he was lying about some of this and exaggerating that he never had sexual attraction towards you. That's very difficult for me to believe. I also wonder what he was projecting onto you. We sometimes accuse other people of the very thing we're struggling with, and it can be done subconsciously. We're not aware of it. It can be done in order to protect the thing that we're hiding. So if he was controlling and critical and actually made you feel like you had to perform, he might have accused you of what he was doing. He might have had sexual trauma that really warped his ability to know what he wanted and talk about it, with the addition of pornography, which absolutely warps sex drive and sexual health. Right. I wonder about substance abuse as well, because it changes a person's personality and it puts them in this position of saying extreme things and very mean things. People who use are more likely to do that. Do you suspect he used alcohol or any drugs excessively?
I do not suspect substance abuse. After the divorce, he started drinking a little bit, and it was quite shocking because he was not prone to substance. Yeah. I grew up with that, so my radar on that issue is very sensitive.
I see.
Hey, Susan, I have another question too. The 5 kids. So you made 5 babies. How was he toward the kids when it came to loving or intimacy? How was he how would you rate him as a dad?
A very connected father. He loved having a family. Which has always been my strongest inclination, is that he just wanted a family. And after the divorce, he did remarry, which I still don't think that that's an intimate relationship. I think it was an agreement. But he of course, he became more disconnected with his children, but he's still a good father, considering, which is what I was looking for when I looked for a marriage partner. I wanted someone who would be a good father. So even with a remarriage, he's his children love him, and he loves
Right.
his
Okay.
children.
Good. You sound like you have you take a lot of the blame. Those words were so hurtful. Do you blame yourself for some of the lack of intimacy on his part?
I'm starting to cry. I just thought I could change it. I thought I could save my family.
Right. Yeah.
I thought I could make him love me, and I guess it was my lesson that I told my daughter. My boys are all married. There's 4 boys, and I tell my daughter, well, you can't make somebody love you.
Well, right, and I think that sometimes, and people try, and when our spouse is, hiding things, or when our spouse is struggling with some pretty deep issues. I have a feeling that he might have been struggling with deeper issues. We think all these things. If we play the if only game. If only I would have, been kinder. If only I would have dressed differently. If only I would have been more romantic.
I went through lists of that. I did.
Sure.
I became a perfectionist, trying to
but that's
be
not
pleasing.
Right, and that's not helpful for anybody. Have you dated since your divorce?
I did at first. I think mainly because after 20 years of marriage, that's the framework. And I could have married several times, and a couple of the men were very godly, like deacons or elders of the church. And I never could I didn't want to break someone's heart or have mine. I just couldn't trust again.
Yeah.
Because I trusted and I gave so much to that marriage. I think I just could never do it again.
No, I understand that. Sure. And have you gotten therapy through this? Have you talked with a therapist?
We got therapy. We did Minrith Meyer, and we did Imago, which was very helped. But I read so many books trying to save the marriage. They would have touched the ceiling. I really, really, really worked so hard at it. And I know the one you have that's called Intimate Deception. It is, or maybe The Way We Love would. I know because I listened to your program. Would be helpful, I'm sure.
Well, part of it is making sure that you're okay now, and so I would say that it might be really beneficial to talk through this with somebody, because before, and I say this a lot on the air, but before freedom, you have to go through some pain. And I think there's some work you've got to do to get to the freedom so that you can have a good remaining life. You've got these kids, 5 of them, and they need you, and they need the healthy side of Susan. And sometimes to do that, we've got to get the help we need.
A couple of other resources in the newlife.com store are the Trust book that will help you in your future relationships. Also, Take Your Life Back. And we have a Take Your Life Back course coming up starting next week. It's 12 weeks. It will help you break free from the regret, unhealthy relationships, and destructive habits that are keeping you stuck. You can find out more about that at newlife.com. We'll be back on New Life Live.
My husband addicted to pornography for the majority of our marriage. I was very isolated and didn't really know which way to turn.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
I went to the Restore conference, which seems to be the missing puzzle piece where I was able to find my voice.
When 2 people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we are not stuck because someone else made a decision. God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our life.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, March 6th to the 8th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Enter the code NLL for a discount.
I'm navigating my world now. It feels so wonderful.
I've had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEWLIFE and the discount code NLL. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
When you give to New Life, your generosity helps restore broken marriages and families. Your gift helps people break free from addiction, find strength in the midst of depression and grief, and grow deeper in faith and spiritual health. You can give online at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You can also text NLM, as in New Life Ministries, to 28950. Thank you so much for whatever you can do. We're going to be in the studio for another hour, so give us a call here, 1-800-229-3000, with Dr. Jim Byrnes and Dr. Alice Benton, who wanted to add a little something.
Susan, whenever we're accused by a spouse, even if it's 99% untrue and has more to do with his struggle, it is always worth looking at, did I have a part in the deterioration of the marriage? Was I needy, critical? Did I expect too much of him? I didn't hear that in your voice, but I want you to look into it because the why is weighing on you. And you might ask 3 people you love who will also tell you truth. What are things that I do that make it difficult to be in close relationship with me? But then I want you to work on releasing the why, especially his part of it, unless you can have a decent, friendly conversation with him. If you focus on trying to forgive yourself, him, and his parents, and the role that they may have played in his inability to connect with you, I think that will eventually free you from the weight of the why.
Let's go to Rochester, New York. Jamaica is listening on newlife.com. Welcome to the program. Thanks for calling 1-800-229-3000.
Hello.
Hi, what's your question for us today?
Yes, my question is, my family in 2020 just started acting super strange. They all just kind of seemed like they had been Jim Jones, if you will, and I reached out for help. I've had tons of negativity happen like domino effect. Can't get a job, reach out everywhere, reached out to church, reach out, you name it, I reached out. Went to the FBI, reported everything, went through a divorce, reported all this activity, and I got nothing more than a slap on the hand, a slap on the wrist, saying, "Oh, it's okay, this happens." So it's like it's as if someone decided to take my life and make it out of some kind of stage play or something. And to this day, it's like it's got me going around in circles. I pray. I'm a praying woman anyway. I know how to pray for myself. I get results. I'm success-driven. I'm God-fearing. I pray, and I know how to represent myself in life. And even though I may be sad and whatever at times, I know how to go ahead and pray, and it brings me from 0 to 100. But I have reached out for help forever. Do you have any answers for me? I feel like my family's like in some kind of wicked organization, and even the police themselves can't do anything because they are aware, because I brought it to their attention, and they make me look like I'm the person that needs rest and needs, they try to make it turn around to make me look like I'm the victim, I'm the person that's not able to cope with what's going on, when that is not the case. I've been praying for my family to be well, and all of them have pretty much ostracized me. And I felt like it was my ex who went to rehab, who did all these crazy things. And when I say crazy things, I sometimes think if you hook up with the wrong person, then they can put you in a Jim Jones situation, and then I think I've been the innocent bystander.
What would you say, Alice?
This sounds like a very confusing whirlwind that your life has been in for the past several years. And if your ex-husband was in rehab, then I imagine he struggled with substance use, which can bring such chaos into a life and leave you wondering what's real and what's not real. It concerned you so much, whatever was happening in your life, that you made reports to the FBI. And I wonder, Jamaica, can you give me just one example? What was one of the worst things that you wanted the FBI to know about?
Basically, they broke into my storage unit, and my family was basically seeming like they're not able to talk with me. They seemed very guarded, like if they talked to me, they had limited time. It's like makes me feel like somebody was watching or monitoring their actions, like they're guarded. And I love my family so much to where it's just like a part of my person. I just do. So if I'm watching your kid, I'm a registered nurse, so I know these things. I'm very, I can see, I usually pay very, very, very close attention to detail. And if I have to go out of my way to report something, it's serious.
And Jamaica, to see if I'm understanding, you were reporting that people were monitoring your family. Is that right?
No, I was reporting that I have had all of these violations, and not necessarily, anything that's not non-transparent. Everything I'm reporting was physically and tangibly able to prove.
Yeah, like the break into your storage unit, for instance.
Yes, and then my family walked away, if you will. Like his mother died, dad died, then they walked away from me and left me in the house. We sold the house. We went through a lot of different things, and all of my reaching out for help was more gaslight. It's like I looked at the county records. It said that he was married. He had businesses everywhere. I mean, I have printouts that I sent to my friend. I'm what is this?
I'm going to interrupt with a couple questions because we're running down on time. You'd said you also really struggled to get work. Right now, is your life stable? Are you employed? Do you have a home?
Very unstable. I had to go and spend $15,000 on an RV. Very unstable. I can't buy a home because I can't seem to get approved for one. I had $100,000. Couldn't buy a new house. I'm not kidding you when I say this. We sold our house, so I should have been able to do all the normal things.
I'm gonna interrupt because you did answer my question. So thank you. Life is pretty unstable right now. So Jamaica, I know things have been going wrong in your life and that people have not believed you, and that makes it so difficult to know what is my true reality. Is everybody else off base? Because it certainly feels like it. And there can be things like Jim Jones situations. And so I want you to keep alerting the correct authorities, because sometimes it takes multiple times to get someone to believe you and to act on it. But I also am going to gently challenge you. You may have to check your ability to perceive reality, because sometimes our legitimate fears can expand in our mind beyond what is happening, even though I believe you that there was a storage unit break-in. So if you would also have the humility to talk with your doctor and get a psychiatric evaluation to see if depression, anxiety, trauma, any of that might be clouding your judgment. We want to eliminate that as a possibility. It will also someday help to reunite potentially with your family if you're able to say, hey, I got myself checked out. I'm willing to be in treatment if I need that as well, if I'm off base here. So it's those two things. Continue to alert authority, because I don't want your family to be under attack. Check your own mental health status so that you can eliminate that being something that could be part of what's going wrong.
Jim?
You want an advocate who can help you. You haven't found that advocate yet, but somebody who can kind of help you through that. I have questions, and we don't have time in terms of why did you choose FBI instead of the police for some of these. But I think Alice is right. The first step with any time is to make sure that you get a checkup. We need physical checkups. We need mental checkups. We all do, and we all do that. Even the therapists who are on this show would at times go get some counseling. So I would do exactly what she said, and then make sure that there's people in your world who know you and see you and feel what you're feeling, and maybe you'll find that at church. But I would you go to the psychologist, get the psychiatric help, but also go to your church and have somebody there who just they get you and And they could help you maybe walk through some of this, or they could be honest with you and say, I think you're pushing that one, but maybe not this one. But and Jim Jones, by the way, for our listeners, Jim Jones is a cult leader. Do you have any? Nope, I don't have time. What you'll have to think about is that you used Jim Jones, and that's a religious cult. And are these people all a part of something like that, or are they just, in your mind, out to get you? Those are questions you're going to have to answer.
We're out of time on this hour of New Life Live, but we're going to remain in the studio for another hour, so you still have time to call in and ask your questions of Dr. Jim Burns and Dr. Alice Benton. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call. Jamaica, thanks for calling us, and we would recommend the Take Your Life Back book or course from newlife.com.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you. But you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.